Hello everyone. Good afternoon. Welcome to the episode 8 of TechSagar Emerging Tech webinar series on wireless and networking technologies theme. We have a very electric line of speakers celebrating on reimagining connectivity with 5G in India, technologies, network architecture, use case application, standard and policy. So the 5G has been a very evolving or the revolutionary technology across the globe. And if we specifically talk about the India, so a lot of development is going on with the 5G, and also we are to move from 4G to 5G. Like for example, recently IIT Madras launched a test band for the 5G. So to deliberate on this, we have a very electric line of speakers. We have two subject expertise from the telecommunication domain. So hence to welcome Mr. Surya Mohan, Vice President of Tech Solution. Hello, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Surya has over 5 years of experience in telecom for development of communication industry. Prior to Century, he has worked with the 3G network solution, Valley Technologies, Sanskrit, Spray, Northern Motorola, and tech firms like SCI and ITI in telecommunication industry. Overall subject matter expertise, Mr. Surya brings around 5G modem and trend of like a LTE bound feature like L3 RLC, L2 meg, some sort of ULP type layer. We have Mr. Rakesh Kumar, Director General, Voice of Indian Communication Technology Enterprise. Welcome, Mr. Rakesh.
Abhishek. Ishan, are you able to hear me? I think a little bit connectivity issue at Ishan's level. Yeah, but I think Ishan had briefly introduced the context of this discussion, and this is we call this as a TechSagar. TechSagar is a initiative of data security council and supported by National Cyber Security Council Secretary.
Session we have Mr. Vinayak Godse. Over to you.
Yeah. Thank you, Ishan. Thank you, Shrikant. Ishan, you have some connectivity problem. You have to check on your network speed. Not able to hear you well. So I hope Mr. Surya, Mr. Bhattnagar, are you able to hear me well?
Very clear, sir. Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Ishan. So this is a webinar series we run as a part of the TechSagar. TechSagar is a repository of a cyber tech capability of the country. So this is a project that Data Security Council of India running with the support of National Cyber Security Council Secretariat. We all know that this decade is called as the technology decade, and most of the discussions are happening around how the technology will be shaping this particular decade. And many goals and aspects of the national security would be crucially critically dependent on the technology ability or strategic case the country has basically. So the attempt here is to look at the 25 different technology area: AI, ML, blockchain, IoT, robotics, look at cloud computing, next-gen computing, quantum computing. So look at those 25 areas, and in each of the 25 areas, try to understand the capability that we have as a country in those areas basically. And how do we see the way the technology evolutions are happening, and how exactly we can leverage on the existing capability that is getting built in the country. So that's the repository's work. But from now to the next 10 years of time, what is going to happen? How can we have a concerted effort at the national level to look at the evolutions happening in the technology and try to help each other? So from the government side, from the industry side, from the investor side, from the startup ecosystem perspective, from the user industry which is buying technology perspective. So this is the effort that we are putting together from TechSagar perspective. So one of the key area when you talk about technology, one of the key area that we talk about is the network connectivity that coming for the next 5 to 10 years of time basically. And 5G, we all are saying that we have been preparing our ground for the 5G. There are various components are in place for the 5G. I had been fortunate to see the kind of a program that DOT hosted some days back and had seen the kind of capability that we have created, we have generated in the country. A lot of startup working in a 4G, and now many of them are transitioning to the 5G area as well. We had seen some of the news last week itself that a first call was made by Minister on a 5G indigenous 5G network basically. So this particular discussion that what we want to understand from both of the expert is the current landscape, how this landscape is shaping, how exactly the different capabilities are getting generated, what the startups are doing in this area, how the government programs are basically supporting them basically, and from now to the next 4-5 years of time, how exactly this technology and because of this technology transformation that will be coming forward. So that would be the intent of the discussion, and we'll pick up the your observations, your questions in the way, and we will try to answer them as well. So let me start my discussion with Mr. Bhatnagar. So you had worked with DOT and had been now mobilizing many aspects of the technology evaluations in the telecom sector. So with your initial brief remark about how do you see this is evolving, how interconnectivity is getting reimagining with the 5G, and what kind of steps that we have been taking towards that as a country, as an individual company working in this area, and more importantly, the government that is very actively mobilizing this effort.
Good afternoon, friends. It is a pleasure for me to be addressing the experts in various verticals as far as the telecom and IT segment is concerned, because I understand that you are associated with NASCOM as well, and you see at a global level, IT activities they are. I think they are one of the best as far as the IT segment is concerned. So now, as far as the 5G related activities are concerned, first I should start make a beginning how ITU is one of the standardization bodies. 3GPP is another. Practically, these are two pillars on which one can say that the 5G has evolved. The first edition of IMT 2020 specifications, that is the name used by ITU for the standards of 5G. So the standards were first published in February 2021 in the form of ITU-R recommendation M2150. Of course, subsequent to announcement, a lot of further developments also have taken place, and the next revision exercise also had started, and but all this work which is going on at ITU level, so there's a working party 5D for ITU-R that is the main force behind this formulation of these standards. So as far as ITU is concerned, you see, as far as 5G is concerned, there were various issues were there, because 5G deployment, it delivers not only higher levels of speed, but also provides capacities to support massive machine-to-machine communication, and also provides low latency, that is a very less delay, and high reliability service for time-critical applications. So you see, with this background, a lot of work was required to be done. As far as the work is concerned, it has started way back in 2014. There was a to start with ITU document M2320. It had had a technology a trend report was there. Then there was a feasibility report of IMT feasibility above 6 gigahertz. So now we are in the form of recommendation M2376. Then M2083, it also had covered the areas of vision, IMT, and beyond. In year 2015, WRC 15 meetings were also there, and there were modifications of resolution 56 and 57, which were the starting point for IMT 2020 related activities. 2016, we had the next update in the form of technical performance requirements. They were identified in the form of recommendation M2410. Then evaluation criteria and methods they evolved through recommendation M2412, and through recommendation M2411, requirements, evaluation criteria, and submission templates were also there. So these activities were taking place in the year 2016 and continued as well as 2017. In the last quarter of 2017, the ITU had organized in partnership with Working Party 5D. A workshop was also announced, and it had taken place. And then the proposals were there for the work on the proposals for IMT 2020. It started in the real sense in 2018, and an exercise for building of consensus was also necessary, because when you are formulating any standards, so there may be a lot of conflicting requirements also could be there. There could be various lobbies also who could be trying to ensure that the standards get formulated around the work which they have carried out. And after, with the consensus exercise having taken place in 2018-2019, evaluation exercise also had started in parallel. And at that time, WRC 19 also was meeting in the year 2019. There was some outcomes, some decisions were there. And as a result of that, IMT 2020 specification formulation exercise, it had started. So at the high level, as far as the Working Party 5D is concerned, it is working on the requirements of performance requirements, submission details, evaluation guidelines. It also takes note of market conditions, traffic, and future spectrum requirements, because spectrum is very, very important as far as the 5G services are concerned. Frequency band channelizing arrangements, spectrum sharing, and compatibility studies. So that was another segment which was addressed by the Working Party 5D. Then IMT specifications is another technology related work, so that also was taken up. Further, support requirements for IMT applications and deployment, they were also worked. In between, in various parts of the world, some workshop and seminars also were organized. Now, as far as the, you see, key capability requirements are there, which are there for 5G. You see, as far as downlink data rate is concerned, so the minimum expectation that for 5G that it should be 20 gigabits per second. As for the uplink peak data rate is concerned, for that the expectations were there that it should be 10 gigabit per second. Then as far as the user experience downlink data rate is concerned and uplink data rate is concerned, so you see in dense urban test environments, data rate should be maintained at 100 megabit for a downlink and 50 megabit for uplink for 95% of the time. As far as the latency expectations are concerned, so radio network contribution to packet travel time, it should be between 4 millisecond. Or on the front of the mobility, maximum speed for handover and quality of service requirement, so even it is as high as 500 kilometers per hour. Connectivity density, that is the number of devices per unit area of 1 square kilometer, so it was 10 raised to the power of 6, that is 1 million. Energy efficiency, data sent received per unit of energy consumption by the device or the network, so it is kept at the same level as in case of 4G. So these are some of the parameters. Then area traffic capacity, the total traffic across the coverage area, 10 megabit per second per square meter, so that requirement was there. Peak downlink spectrum efficiency, so throughput per unit wireless of bandwidth and per network call, so this is 30 bits per second per hertz. So this was there. So these were some of the key features of the, as for the spectrum related issues are concerned, so which were required to be there. So now with in India also we were working as far as the standardization related activities are concerned, TLDSI that was also working on the Indian standards, and as a result of that, 5G standards also evolved. So we were trying to have Indian standards which can be quite useful for the especially for the rural areas, so that you see we increase the coverage requirements as compared to the normal formulation which was being attempted by 3GPP and ITU. Subsequently, these standards have now got merged into 3GPP standards, and now we are not having any separate standards as far as TLDSI 5GI standards are concerned. So they are all merged, and Indian requirements, which were all the development activities, they are now part of 3GPP standards. So now, as far as the standardization related activities are concerned, so you see we are having the standards are available, and based on those standards already deployment across the world is taking place. There are many deployments that are taking place in various parts of the globe, and India also, we are not far behind that. Taking that into consideration, that introduction of 5G is required to be done in India. So the government of India had, as a sort of policy decision, it had made a reference to the telecom regulator, and they had asked for the recommendations. So the recommendations were sought by the government regarding what should be the reserve price should be there, what could be the bands, what could be the band plan and block size, what could be the quantum of spectrum that can be associated, what could be the conditions for the auction of the spectrum. You see the bands which are identified were 526 to 698 megahertz, 700 megahertz, 800 megahertz, 900 megahertz, 1800, 2100, 2300, 2500, then 3300 to 3670, and then 24.25 to 28.5 gigahertz band. So these are the bands for which the reference was made by the government to the regulator. Further, the government had asked the regulator to provide its recommendations, because as far as the private 5G networks are concerned, they are also becoming very important across the world. Many countries, they have earmarked the spectrum for 5G private networks. So in line with the practice which is prevalent across the world, because many 5G private networks have already been set up, so government had sought a recommendations with respect to the private 5G networks. What could be the quantum of spectrum, in which bands it could be there, what could be the transparent method of allocation, what could be the pricing, and so you see the government had recognized that industries will require it for machine and plant automation purposes and M2M applications in their premises. Because robotics is another area in which 5G applications are going to be there. Smart cities is another area. So you see, as far as the private networks are concerned, there could be campus deployments, there could be deployment on the ships and submarines. There could be industrial 4.0, that is the technical requirements in remote locations. Railways, metros, airports, etc. So these were another set of areas where deployment of the private 5G networks can take place. Disaster management is another area where you see, as a result of any cyclone or any localized weather phenomena or any other earthquake and those type of things, many times disaster related initiatives are required to be taken up, and those areas may not having the adequate mobile coverage. So faster deployment of disaster management facilities, that also becomes another area. Mining and construction side, that is another area, because you see, when we are going in for 5G networks, the deployment of the 5G networks, first they will be taking place in metro towns. It will be followed by state capitals, tier 2, tier 3 towns. Then only after that it will be moving to remote areas. So in fact, wherever we have the requirement for the private 5G networks, so they will be mostly in the remote areas where the normal communication facilities also may not be adequate. In the areas of mining, for example, you see with the robotics and uh, uh, you can be carrying out many activities, uh, and the element of risk also can be cut down. Sitting a few kilometers away, or at the headquarter of the organization, you could be giving the instructions that machines and robots may be operating even for the mining related activities. So this mining is another area where the you see applications can be there. Then at times you see in buildings, in building solutions also may be there, because at times we find that in our buildings, especially after the corona had started, everyone was trying to use a mobile. Earlier you see the traffic requirement increased, and even in building communication facilities were affected to some extent. So a lot of residential area in buildings also, they also felt that their campuses should be having in building solutions. Then there are many rural and greenfield deployments where again 5G deployments are very important. So you see, these were many areas where there was a private 5G networks could have been there. So based on the recommendations, you see, TRI came out with its recommendations, and it recommended that all available spectrum which is existing in 700, 800, 900, 1800, 2100, 23, 25, and all available spectrum should be put to auction. Further, it recommended that 3300 to 3670 and even 600 megahertz and 24.25 to 28.5, they also can be put for auction. So you see, in 600 megahertz band, 40 megahertz paired spectrum being placed on auction is indicated. In 3300, 3670, these are the new bands for IMT. So N77 and N78 have been permitted. The flexibility is given to the telecom service providers. In 24.25 and 28.5, so there also the flexibility is given to the service provider. They can use either N257 or N258. You see, the recommendations also has given importance to the availability of the spectrum in a continuous manner. If it is a scattered, you see, it does not make much of a sense. You lose all the efficiencies. There is another band, you see, 526 to 612 megahertz, which of course is yet to be defined by 3GPP ITU for IMT applications. But this is again a band which can be put for the right now it is being used in the country for TV transmitters, but not the digital one. So the efficiency, one can say, is not very good as per the TV transmission facilities are concerned. So this could be a band that can be tapped for IMT applications later on. That TRI also suggested that harmonization exercise can be carried out in 3 bands, 800, 900, and 1800, which were being used for below 5G services that was already being utilized by the various service providers. So as for the recommendations on the pricing part is concerned, so they have given the recommendations which are going to be valid for 20 years. And they have also made a provision that if required, it could be made applicable for 30 years as well, with the price being 1.5 times as compared to the 20 years pricing. Whatever auction prices were there, because some of the bands were earlier put for auction purposes when we had the auction for 4G, etc. So at that time, as compared to that time, you see the prices, there is a sizable reduction is there, 30 to 40% reductions are there as far as the prices are concerned. Similarly, in the recommendation, the rollout also, easy network deployment conditions have been given for the two new bands, that is 3300 to 3670 and 24.25 to 28.5, which are going to be put for the auction for the first time. Similarly, rationalization of the cap of the spectrum that also has been done. So in general, the cap is there for most of the bands. It is almost 40% capping is there on the combined spectrum in sub 1 gigahertz. Then another 40% of the combined spectrum holding on from 1800 to 2500 megahertz, and then 40% individual band specific for 330 to 3670 and 24.25 and 28.5. So you see, so as far as the surrender conditions are also concerned, they also have been liberalization is there. The penalties imposed on the surrender of the spectrum, that also is on the lower side. 27.5 and 28.5 part of the IMT, you see that has been reserved for IMT as well as satellite earth station gateways on coexistence basis. So, but as far as this particular recommendation is concerned, the government has not given the go-ahead signal as far as this particular band is concerned. Otherwise, the recommendation was there that this can be given for satellite earth station gateways, and you see it could be given in areas where there is a likelihood of 5G IMT services not coming up. So on a mutually sort of an exclusive basis, it was there. So recommendations on the private networks also were there. So the recommendations, the general recommendations were there that it could be provided through telecom service providers. Another possibility was that enterprise may request telecom service providers for independent isolated private networks could be there. Another possibility which was given that enterprise may obtain the spectrum on lease from telecom service provider and establish their own captive wireless private network. And the last option which was given that the spectrum could be directly allocated by the government, and whosoever is taking the spectrum, you see, he can set up his own captive wireless private network. So as for this particular the last set of the recommendation, that is the allocation being made from the government side. So this particular part of the recommendation that has not been accepted by the government. A reference back was when the government sent across the recommendation back to try. So try again to reiterate it, but the government has not accepted this part of the recommendation at this stage. So you see, as far as the domestic industry is concerned, they will face difficulties, because getting the spectrum from the licensed service providers, normally it is not an easy task, because they will treat it as a in a way that it will be coming as a sort of competition to them. So this is as far as the recommendations were concerned. Now I will try to another very important recommendation which was there for the use cases and applications, which of course is already under implementation, because Department of Telecom, the recommendation was that a 5G dedicated inter-ministerial working group can be set up under the chairmanship of member technology. So already a working group is already there under the chairmanship of member technology, and they are doing inter-ministerial meetings have already taken place. I had participated in few of the meetings for the Ministry of Mining. Meeting has taken place. Meeting has taken place with the railways. Similarly, on the healthcare front, also some meetings have taken place. So about 12 ministries they have planned to have 12 meetings are going to be there. On education front, there's another going to be a meeting maybe very soon in the coming week that may be taking place. Yeah. Prior recommendation was there, this participation could be there at a senior level, and they had also suggested some other ministries which were not planned by DOT so far. That included Niti Aayog and Ministry of Small and Medium Enterprise, MSMEs, and then for Department of Promotion, Industry and Internal Trade. So some additional ministries also were added by the regulator. And you see, Telecom Innovation Center, that was another suggestion which was given by the regulator. Now I come to the implementation part as per these recommendations are concerned. So you see, as at the government level, the cabinet has already given its consent for the spectrum prices, etc. And I think over a period of next 60 days, you can find that the auction really taking place, and we can expect that by 15th of August, at least notional introduction of 5G services that could be taking place at least at some of the important centers across the country. 5G cutting across the state capitals and other cities, you see that may be also taking place in many of the states. That could also be taking place by the end of the year 2022. And we can expect the tier 2 and tier 3 towns also should be getting the coverage by the end of 2023. In this area, you see, there is a another very important policy decision which is required to be seen is the government is trying to ensure that all the procurements are done from the secured uh, 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 agencies who are having the security approvals process is in place for them. So already companies from China, etc., ZTE, Huawei, etc., so they are already out because they are not they have not got the clearance so far, and they may not be getting that one also. Another very important aspect is that the government is trying to support public procurement policy, Make in India policy, so that also is there. So definitely, as far as the BSNL is concerned, uh, without any doubt, it will be taking place through the domestic route, because there the government funding is there, and you see, as per the public procurement policy, it will be mandatory to procure from the domestic sources. As far as the other players are concerned, the 5G trials are right now going on, and we have seen that players like Reliance Jio, they have claimed that they have developed their own indigenous 5G solutions. That is already in place, and they are going to deploy the domestic solutions will be deployed by Jio. As for the other operators are concerned, Airtel is concerned, and Vodafone and Idea is concerned. So they are also, as part of the pilot projects, they have taken the help of Indian companies also. They are part of the pilot projects, and definitely like 2G and 2G, 3G, and 4G earlier, when all the deployments coming for the private operators, so that was coming from outside the country, that will not be the case. I will now try to tell something about the domestic industry. So you see, there are 7, 8 players who are having the good expertise, good capabilities. They are having as far as the 5G related activities are concerned. They may not be, as of today, they may not be having the order book to supply, but definitely they have the capabilities. And to support these type of activities, because I am supporting voice of Indian Communication Technology Enterprise. This is a society which is working exclusively on the principle of Atmanirbharta, and our members are all having Indian technology, Indian IPR, so Indian development related activities are there from our members. So on 16th, 17th, and 18th of May, we had organized a live demo at Sanchar Bhavan, in which we try to showcase through the live demo how a consortium-based solution can deliver the results as far as the 5G enterprise networks are concerned. We have already seen that as far as the BSNL's 4G network is concerned, implementation of that has already started with TCS, Tejas Networks, Lekha Wireless, and C-Dot joining hands together. They've already got orders for about 6,000 sites. That work has already started. Another 6,000 sites, the order is likely in the coming June. Another 8 lakhs, 1 lakh sites will be getting added in the next 3 or 4 months' time. So, and as far as the BSNL's network is concerned, this also is going to be upgradable from 4G to 5G. So that also is available. So it will be very, very fast. You see, they may be late as far as deployment of 4G is concerned, but they could be very, very fast, and even 5G introduction in the BSNL's network, that also can be taking place in year 2023. At the same time as others, like Jio, Airtel, etc., will be introducing their networks. So in the live demo which we have done, so we have tried to showcase. I had earlier referred to the inter-ministerial meetings which had taken place, organized by DOT with other ministries. So one such meeting had taken place on 23rd of March at Rail Bhavan. I was part of that, and there I saw that they are planning to upgrade their network. The signaling network of the railways at a cost of almost 59,000 crore is being attempted by the railways. And one of the major component is going to be a deployment of 4G LTR in their network. So in the meeting over there, I indicated to them, now in year 2022, why you are going in for 4G LTR when the option of going in for 5G can be available. They said 5G can be many years away. Then I had told them, no, 5G private enterprise network is concerned, they already have some 700 megahertz band. They are already having the spectrum also available with them. So I told them that 5G private networks, enterprise networks are possible. And after returning from the meeting, I sent across a communication to Secretary Telecom suggesting that with the funding support coming from Department of Telecom, we should change from 4G to 5G. So Secretary at that stage said that it is many people may claim that this can be done, but practically we have seen that this does not take place. So at that stage, we had given a commitment on the behalf of the industry by 15th of May, we'll come out with a solution which will be having the IoT and M2M application covering the railway segment. So that will be showcased, making use of the 4G and 5G network. And you see 16th, 17th, and 18th. So we have kept our word. We have done the event at Sanchar Bhavan. So we have the 5G equipment coming from Lekha Wireless and Signaltron. Signaltron also had 4G as well. Then we are having the routers were there from Niveti, IMT NMS systems were there from Coral Telecom, IoT and M2M solutions, which were covering the railway requirement because a toy train was also there. And we had simulated the condition that, okay, on the railway track, when the toy train is moving in the 4G environment, and if an obstacle is put on the track, toy train track, the train comes to a stop. So it was not because you see practical railway network in a building is difficult, but at least we try to showcase that this can be done in a on a very fast track, because from 23rd March to 15th of May, we hardly had a few weeks time, and we had done this exercise formatting the combined requirement of multiple stakeholders. So definitely, as a result of that event, the Honorable Minister and many high dignitaries who came, and even we had interaction with our missions in Poland and Germany as well. So it was everything was appreciated, and subsequent to that, we have been asked to share what sort of a key asks are there from our side. So we have already suggested some pilot projects to be taken up for 5G enterprise network. So the areas which we have suggested that suggest to disaster management, railways and metro areas. So that is another area. Then for army requirements also, that is another area. Mining is another area. What is more important is in the conventional solutions, if you are having a 5G network, you will be providing only 5G services. But in the demo, what we have done is, because in the railway network, you at the smaller stations, you are still having the magnetophones working. You may be having UHF systems working. So you see, not the complete network will be changing overnight. So everywhere you will be needing the requirements of old technology also to be integrated along with the new ones. So in the demo, we had tried to showcase in the same system, the magnetos were also working, the UHF systems were also working, the conventional rotary and push button phones are also working, and as was the case for 4G and 5G mobile phones. So all type of devices, the old conventional ones which are operating a few years back, like railways is similarly for the army deployments also, they also cannot, they also would like to keep the old technology options also available. So along with the old one also is required to be supported. So we have shown that with our industry, we can try to have private 5G enterprise networks can be there. And in addition to the conventional solutions, you see, they can also develop dedicated requirements. For example, it may be there for smart cities, it could be there for drinking water management, there could be a special requirements could be there for so you see, for each segment, whatever are the dedicated requirements, if you are having the solutions which is designed and developed by in the country, for them it is not very difficult to modify their software and adding more applications, because if all the players happen to be from the country, you see, they have the full capabilities and they can do it. So we have already said to the government it will be possible for the commercial 5G deployments possible within the country over a period of 12 months. And 5 pilot projects we have already suggested that they can be announced by the government. But the only catch is the spectrum availability should be there. In case the government is not in a position to provide the spectrum for 5G private networks, so in that case, BSNL may be the only hope which we can tap, because all these private networks which we are planning will be taking place in the government networks, and the 5G spectrum being made available to BSNL, so that can be tapped as far as the deployments are concerned. So I think I have taken a lot of time as far as the discussion part is concerned. I think Mr. Surya is also there. He was also part of the live demo at Sanchar Bhavan. And you see, not many people had heard about Sientra. You see what applications they are doing. But when they were there at Sanchar Bhavan, they were surprised to see that what type of innovative solutions are coming forward from the domestic industry. So you see, I would not like to say much about that because Mr. Surya is already there. So he'll be in a position to tell you what actually has been achieved by him and his team, and what future they look forward as for the implementation of 5G is concerned in the country.
But so really, thank you, sir, the way you covered it, right? So you started with the historical background. You really deliberated on how the standards are been making and how we also step up our game in terms of developing in the standards, and then also try to really cover the overall ground and all the dimensions involved in shaping the entire 5G ecosystem in the country, and including the latest development with respect to this demonstration that you had, and I was part of the demonstration. I had come there, and the kind of a railway track that you had talked about is one of our startup. Basically, we incubated the startup in our incubation center who developed that. But that time I also met Mr. Surya. He had seen his work, and that's why we thought to get both of you to talk to our community. And then also there's another startup, Neural Network, also work with her. So for your information, we in DSA and NASCOM campus, we are also deployed now 5G core network. So we have 5G private network ready in our campus now.
Okay.
That is giving now access to the we are giving access to the cybersecurity startups to do the experimentation. We are shortly coming with one report on security issues on 5G core and private network areas with help of the neural network, and there's one security company basically. And then we are also waiting for the spectrum. We are also looking for the radio equipment. We are talking to Lekha Wireless now for the radio as well, so that we could give end-to-end experience to the people coming to our campus basically. So really very well covered, covering all the dimensions. But now you talked about the Indian players in this area. You talked about the capability that we have been developing in the area, and now the demonstration of this capability also now come to the reality basically, right? And Surya is one of the his company is one of the key innovator in this area. So yeah, we would like to hear from you how you started and where you reached now, and how do you see things going from here.
Thank you, sir. And I thank you for giving me an opportunity to present here, sir. Thank you. And I will thank Bhatnagar ji also to bring me up onto this voice platform through which I am in connection now. Thank you, sir. Very quickly, I will jump into our solution, what we, how we got inspired to do this project. We are a small company, sir. Just 5 years back, we started this MSME. We have been in chipset and semiconductor sector, but also now we are in telecom because all our chipset customers are like mobile phone chipset, Qualcomm and Samsung and all that. So we were serving them and we got inspired to do our own solution for IoT. Sir, straight away I will jump into our solution and what we were doing demonstration. What were our, sir? How can I share my screen if I can?
Ishan, can we give access?
Yeah, just a second. Yeah, Mr. Surya, I have given a presenter right to you.
Okay, sir. So show your screen.
So there is a one small, screen sort of icon below the
Yeah.
webcam icon, below the mic icon. You just need to click
Yeah,
and you can, share the screen anyhow. Like, yeah, you share on the Zoom or on the MS Teams.
Okay. Is it coming now? Is it visible now, sir?
Not yet for me.
It is coming. Yeah, it has come, sir.
Okay. Okay, sir.
Yeah.
So first, as Vinayak sir said, just give 2 minutes background how we started this product. So we were doing a lot of embedded solution and IoT solution for many of our customers, and we came across a few challenges they were facing, and we thought we will solve that. One of the biggest challenge we saw that the 5G is not coming, 5G solutions are not coming because spectrum is not sorted out or it is very costly. So the India is not going to be covered by 5G. Even if it gets covered 5G, many areas will be without 5G. So this was one challenge which we thought we will solve this. Second challenge what we saw is our IoT, our customers, like be it railway, be it power grid, be it mining or anyone. Whenever any IoT vendor is giving a solution, normally we cannot integrate the second vendor and third vendor and fourth vendor. We cannot, and we get limited on living with whatever that company can do, and we are not able to integrate other. So that was another challenge where we thought that we will bring, why not 5G, and 5G as a platform for IoT. Why different platform for IoT? So that was one. So no coverage. How can we still solve that? And interoperability problem. And third challenge was that everybody is saying 5G IoTs will just like that come. So what we have seen problem in the industry is IoT companies are very hesitant to do 5G, though they are advertising they are 5G, they are making it 5G, because they have to put NB-IoT chipset, 4G or 5G, that chipset which does IoT. It is a part of the software or upgrade which is normally beyond the mobile phone requires. So NB-IoT chipset upgrade of IoT companies, again, first of all, when a good solution will come, they will integrate, they will buy that. Again, still it is there, but it is making the IoT device very costly. So to solve all this, we designed such a system where all these three things are solved. And we started a development group 2.5 years ago, and today we are at this stage. So I will just describe our product, sir. So in this product, we have taken entire 5G architecture as the base. So we have made the IoT as UV, real 5G UV. How we have done that, I will describe. We have made the changes in the RAN where we have cut down the antenna and we have opened the IP port so that all the IoT can talk to the RAN by the IP. The spectrum and antenna is not required from both sides. Only thing is we have to make sure how does UV get the IP connection through Wi-Fi or wired or whatever in the office environment. Connectivity is there. As long as the IP is there, it can get connected to the RAN. Then again, the challenge was how can we connect all this to a real 5G core network with a standard. So the complete G node we took exactly 3GPP spectrum. We did the N2 and also we did the N1 if it is possible. Otherwise, we are passing N1. So we made this completely 5G. We were initially looking for a tool which will ensure that our this access solution will work with the core. But gradually, we did not get the core networks which were released 17 updated. Tools were released 15 and 16 and so on. So we ourselves got into the, taking the open source and made the upgrades to make it release 17 so that IoTs are the 5G IoT, all the functions are implemented here. So we upgraded the 5G open sources to release 17. And eventually now we have to connect to the IoT server, which is the data network. So all these connectivities and software upgrade we did, and we are at a IoT solution. So IoT solution, what we are giving here is solving the antenna, the 5G spectrum is not required. IP connectivity somehow if we get that is good enough. And we have made the IoT hardware plus 5G UV stack we created. For every IoT, we created 5G UV stack. What is there in our 5G phones? So together and with SIM card. So the SIM card we create here and we allocate a SIM card to one IoT. Second IoT comes, we give him second SIM card and we allocate him. So we actually mapped the entire 5G network onto the IoT devices which are not 5G at all. So I will describe that, sir. So we have in the IoT network, we have all these entities, what a normally 5G network will have, what Airtel will have, what Jio will have, what BSNL will have. So this entire network can be run as a private 5G network. So what solution we have given here is, so suppose this is our 5G network from Sientra. We connect a cluster of IoTs maybe from railway, cluster of IoTs maybe from mines. So many clusters we can connect. And we allocate 5G soft SIM based software, which this hardware plus this software together is a 5G phone together. That we give them access to the G node B, which can be connected through IP. No antenna is not required. In fact, we both kept them in the same system. And then we made it so flexible G node B, normal standard G node B, that it can get connected to Sientra core, or it can be any third party core. It can be private or it can be public. And those core networks, if they support IoT connections, which we support any application function, because 5G architecture supports any application function can be connected to 5G network. Any application, be it IMS, be it IoT server, be it any application. So 5G has a way to connect. That's how we are connecting to our core network here. So if anybody's core network connects to IoT solution applications, then they can connect. So entire IoT connectivity of today, we have mapped into 5G network. So this gives interoperability, that anybody's access solution, IoT solution, as long as it connects to either this G node B or with the G node B, if they can connect to any core, anybody's core, and they can get into the IoT applications. So we have set an example how this can be done, and in future, all the vendors will be encouraged to map it like this, so that whoever is buying, mining is buying, defense is buying, railway is buying, whoever is buying, they get flexibility to upgrade from hundreds of vendors. Another big advantage what we got, and that is I have got it collected here, is the security. the kind of upgrade of security is done in 5G compared to 4G is very good. There were a lot of security loopholes in 4G, they are covered in 5G. So coming to that, what did we solve? So I am going to show the architecture and design what we did, sir. Before that, I will just highlight few of the advantage we are going to get from this 5G network. So first, all the IoT connectivities and this solution, it will operate like a independent 5G private network. And moment it works like a 5G network, my customer, be it mining or defense or anyone, they get flexibility of getting further equipment 5G compatible, and they can scale it up. They get free of clutch from one particular vendor. No spectrum requirement. I mean, it is not necessary. And as I said, even the spectrum access IoTs, they can be connected to the same core. They can be part of the same network. So for the customer, they will not have to put any extra engineer or additional engineer of different type. It is the same core. So that advantage he will get moment he runs the IoT network as a 5G network. Also, we are converting the non-5G IoTs, normal IoTs. We know that people will have a hard time selling the 5G IoTs at a cost of non-5G. So we are converting non-5G IoTs into 5G and also making them connectable without a spectrum. So by doing this, we are increasing the interoperability, multi-vendor IoT network situation. And also this we have not done. So we are discussing with CDOT. We just had a discussion today. So we are going to upgrade it to M2M so that all the IoT companies, they can upgrade their IoTs to M2M. Whoever cannot and they are not in that domain, we will be helping them to convert into M2M so that they can connect to either our system, CDOT system, eventually to any 5G system. So this way 5G network will become scalable by our customers, hundreds of numerous suppliers. Operator can cover IoTs with uncovered 5G spectrum. Sir, we say 5G will come, but it will not cover everywhere 5G. So still, if I can connect them through Wi-Fi or any means, we can give them this solution and they will operate like a 5G. Moment it is there, we get all other side advantages like billing software will be so common, fault configuration, accounting management, performance management, security management, all these will be standard, and there will be hundreds of vendors. I read, sir, mMTC mandatory testing and the criteria for IoT. So I saw that moment we make it 5G, most of the criteria are compliant. So whatever will be gap, that we will fulfill. Apart from this, any 5G features, normally what a 5G network will have, that IoT will get that advantage. So very powerful identification, authentication, authorization, all these facilities will be very powerful and secure. They will be able to command the quality. Whenever 5G comes, we say the device to the tower, that is the 5G. No, that is one part of 5G. But after the tower, when the real network, real IP network we go, there is no guarantee of the quality, no guarantee of the data rate, unless 5G or some network I am requesting, please guarantee me. So that kind of slice demand, IoTs will be able to do that. I am this kind of application, I am a video streaming application, I need this kind of data rate, dynamically he can request if it is 5G. All these normally 5G phones will have SMS, audio, video, pictures, all these file transfer, group broadcast, paging, all these automatically it will get. One implementation we have done is, once, since it is IoT for an entire apartment, let us say, and one IoT uses the data only for 1 minute in the entire day or a week, just to send a meter reading. So what we have done is, one SIM card can be allocated to thousands of IoT devices, one at a time, within a group. So that one apartment, they can take one SIM card for the entire apartment, all the 1,000 devices. So, but one at a time. So this kind of solution we have created. I'll describe our network here, what we have done. So this is our solution where 5G core is there, and we have the standard protocols between them. We have the G node B access. We have cut down the antennas and the radio softwares, and we have opened the IP connectivity. But here IP connectivity is not required. Even the soft phones, soft SIM plus soft phone, we create one for each IoT, and we will associate them. And this is dynamic. Whenever the IoT comes, then we will create the soft phone and SIM card, allocate him a SIM card, and it will connect like a normal phone, normal 5G phone. So this is the connectivity from this thousands of IoT is dynamic. As many will come, that many we will use the resource, and we will connect. And what we have done is, this can be one access network from Sientra, which is connected to our core, or it can be connected to Airtel, or it can be connected to BSNL. So even BSNL can extend their IoT network through this accessibility. So every other existing Indian operator can expand their IoT business, IoT connectivity, even if there is no 5G coverage by Wi-Fi. But their network, core network, will see it as a standard 5G network. They will not realize that there is any Wi-Fi device or anything. It will come as if it is coming through normal 5G tower, because the signaling is exactly same. And beyond that, we can have IoT servers which are created by these IoT companies. So we can connect, and they can connect directly to Sientra, or they can connect through any operator, public or private operator, and they can work. We provide the accessibility of IoTs in such a way that they look like 5G IoT to the networks, and they operate like 5G IoT. And we will have NMS, ours and the IoT companies and our NMS to combine to monitor this entire network end to end. And all these IoT things, they can be seen in the dashboard, or somebody can see it from the mobile and instruct the IoTs and so on. So here I am showing it. This is our solution, Sientra, where all the IoTs look like 5G, as well as it will coexist with the public network, normal phone, and as well as IoT network, which is connected through tower. So the all will coexist either through different core or through the same core. So this is giving IoT, entire IoT requirements in India. We can map it as 5G requirement, so that there can be homogeneity and ubiquitous way of expanding, scalability, security, advantage of robust security of 5G. Rest, sir, I was more focusing on how we are ensuring the 5G security. It is taken entirely 3GPP security we are following, and it will, as long as it is a standard 5G solution, everybody will be this secure. So all these security things are implemented in our core, in our G node B, in our UV, in our SIM card communication, perfectly as it has to be done in any 5G network. So all those entities are there. So briefly, this is how our network is, sir, and we are proposing it to get adopted as much as possible, because we also believe 5G has so much robust procedures for security. The IoT community will get that, and as well as legal interception or monitoring from Government of India. Like we had a lot of fear. I remember way back in 95, 96, a lot of officers wondering that how can we track down the person, who is the person, where is he now, and so on, because we were used to landline phone. So if that landline phone anybody did, yes, we know where from it is coming and who he is, and we can track him. but from the mobile we had that feature. Similarly now, if all the IoT is, we are afraid where is the identity, who is the person making, anybody is hacking because it is not so robust. I feel 5G is the answer, sir. So really, we were not in this business, IoT business, but working along with the telecom customers, we came up with this thought, saw these challenges we are solving for some customers. So we thought until we show something end to end, it may not be adopted. Even today, there is so much questions. Whenever I say here we are creating a 5G soft phone, there is a kind of not disbelief, I will say doubt that you are simulating something and you are making it look like. Actually, we are not simulating anything. We have programmed the program exactly like a 5G phone software. Because our company is aware about 5G stack with our customer, we have implemented the exactly 5G stack with SIM card. So this is roughly it is. Rest, sir, I will be talking about how the security is done and described about entire 5G, which might be common. Let me know if I need to go through this, how the 5G security works.
Yeah, I think good to know the kind of experimentations happening, and I think I really like the way you are saying that every IoT requirement can be mapped as a 5G requirement, and I think how this entire machine-to-machine IoT communication and IoT requirements can be really served by removing even radio. So many of us, and I was also part of that, had thought about the radio is very critical and crucial. We need to have that, but what you are trying to tell you, without radio as well, you can really achieve many things here, basically, right?
Yes.
So which is quite me. So everybody I'm talking and I'm engaging all of these players which I met when I visited DOT some time back. Every idea is very interesting, novel idea, basically. So now, if I had to really ask you, Mr. Surya, so this hardware semiconductor experience, how that really helped you to think about these possibilities?
Not alone that, sir. So I will have to back up about myself. So, sir, I have been in telecom since 1G, not 2G. I have been in telecom since 1987. So I had got idea of switching from Indian telephone industries. So I worked there 4 years. So I had a good background of switching. Then I joined Motorola 1G since 90 to 95. It was complete 1G. All over India, Asia, Europe, and America. So many places deployments I saw. In that, there was one common discussion since 1G that why don't we put switching software in the G-Node B so that in case of emergency, the village people can talk at least among themselves in the village. That's a small software, but because of this commercial angles, and the interests of the operator, this never happened. Even today, it never happened. So I can put a small switch in the every G-Node V and the entire village can talk. In the if the backhaul is not working or it is outage, we can do that. I can do that. So there are emergency services. So I have been on the network side, and also I have been on the mobile side, mobile software. I have been in the testing tool companies in the Spirent. So I am aware about complete stack on the mobile. I am aware about complete stack on the G-Node B, complete stack on the core since 1G. So I had this background. You are right, sir. Without and also within 5 years, 10 years of career, in this thought doesn't come in mind. But once I saw the mobile side, the network side, RAN side, core side, application side, and I am myself in the software. I am an IIT Kharagpur graduate in the computer science. That helped me. That computer background helped me understanding bits and pieces. So yes, normally a person works either in RAN or in the mobile or in the core. Normally one of the three areas. Rarely in all the three. So that is the reason, sir.
Yeah, I also come from telecom background. I can relate to what you are saying. So I was working with DOT, BSNL, and core switching around 7-8 years of time. But I can understand the large experience of telecom. How can it help basically? So my question now, and I also like to hear from Mr. Bhatnagar as well. So my question is, this disaster management is one of the key use case of Mr. Bhatnagar talked here basically, right? So now your idea, even if something goes down, the village can talk itself basically, right? So would it be
Yes.
now practical from the policy perspective? Would this entire policy ecosystem would allow us to do that in coming future?
I think policy, I don't know, sir. Bhatnagar, sir, maybe I'll just before I am jumping, my previous thought, old thought. Technically, it could have been done, and operators were not in favor of this because this doesn't help their business case at all. That was
Yeah.
one angle when I was in Motorola, but from policy angle, I'm not sure, sir.
This is the basic, because I understand the circuit switching, right? Unless every
Yes.
call gets switched at my core network or my central network, it
Yeah.
becomes very difficult to keep a track of it basically.
Yeah,
So
that is.
yeah, so Bhatnagarji, so now we heard Mr. Surya, we heard you as well, the kind of ecosystem that is getting built basically, right? And now I had myself seen those players when I visited to DOT. So now there is one question that people are asking: these technologies that are coming here in 5G, um, and the commercial 5G would also come basically. So one question is, would we have that commercial grade, network grade kind of a capabilities here? Means can we had seen one call being made first time with entire indigenous component coming together. So would we see some of the big telecom implementation? I will definitely come to 5G private network. Basically, telecom installation, significant part of that supply chain or significant part of the equipments going could be Indian players basically. So probably you are on mute, sir.
Bhatnagar,
You
sir.
see, as far as the is it okay now?
Yeah.
Okay. So you see, as far as the what I see today, that commercial deployments, that may be about 12 to 15 months away, because you see, for example, when we have mentioned on the pilot projects, so the pilot project could be on a 4 or 5 kilometers of the railway track, but it will not be covering the, you see, in blocks of say 100 kilometers or something like that. It will be, so for that type of deployment, you see, because right now you see all the players, they are having the limited number of equipments. Availability also is limited. They have not gone in for a commercial productionization as yet. So you see, for commercial deployment, they will go in for once they are sure that some order book is going to be there. Because you see, producing the equipments, and if there's no demand for that equipment, it will be a wastage of the resources. So,
Yeah.
and especially on the private 5G networks, you'll be prepared, you'll be actually designing the networks that will be catering for the requirements of that particular user. Because for defense, there will be some additional requirements will be there. So corresponding to those requirements, you will be upgrading your systems and adding new features, etc., which may not be required in mining. In mining, it may be something different. So
Yeah.
in fact, you need to have productionizing your equipment as per the actual deployment requirements of the users. So if you are having order book, definitely you will be in a position, you'll be in a position to do that. But definitely, as far as the pilot cases are concerned, even working on a live network, so you see that definitely is possible. But as far as I think I'm seeing that smart cities, drinking water solution, defense, all this is indicated. So definitely all these type of solutions will be possible. For drinking water, for example, solution, even in our exhibition, Gallo network, they were having the solution for drinking water solution. So you see, they can go in for commercial level also. but it all depends on the if you because that drinking water solution they had done, I think, for the for one of their customer in Oman. But if it is the customer happens to be from a smart city in India, that also is possible. So they can as well as do it once they are sure that some orders are likely to be there.
So Suryaj, you can switch off the screen sharing so that we can see each other. So yeah. So another question, Bhattangaj, I have is basically, so what I've seen ki there are a lot of capabilities are coming, and in case of 5G private network, I had seen significant level of capability coming in basically, right? Whereas wireless or radio side, I'm seeing some players coming in, but probably that may require some more no more effort basically. So what is your view on a core component vis-a-vis the wireless capability or radio capability that is getting built in the country?
You see, as far as the consortium-based attempt, earlier no one had thought that this is going to be there, because everyone was trying to work in silos. They were trying to try to work, but now the players know that consortium-based solution can also work. So in the coming months, you will find that everyone will be much better prepared as compared to the scenario right now.
Yeah. So, Mr. Surya, one is definitely telecom communication capability that do come into picture basically, right? And other is understanding the entire technology from the hardware side, also semiconductor design side, also very important part. Radio side capability is also critical. We are also trying to find radios, and we are talking to some Indian places, some other places as well, to get a radio in our campus basically. So my now question is to both of you is means application side, we definitely talk about different applications that can be run, and we are also looking at what kind of application that we can run basically. So from the development of application for this basically, so can you, sir, help us understand the development ecosystem for building application for such kind of deployments basically? So Raju, you can also comment on this. I think we lost Mr.
One input I can share immediately is you see, CDOT is setting up a center of innovation for IoT and M2M.
Yeah.
And even Sientra also, for example, they were told that their solution presently is not M2M compliant. So CDOT has offered to make their solution also M2M compliant, and same was the case with the CostGrid, the other IoT player who was there with us in the demo. So you see, with the center of innovation being there, and CDOT also extending and helping hand to the industry, I think the development path will be much faster in the coming weeks. Not only they will be hand holding the companies on to become M2M compliant, but also funding support also may be coming for some of the development activities also. CDOT is possibly having almost for a year almost 300 crore funding could be available from CDOT, and this will be extra. They are, number one, they are trying to set up a 5G alliance. They have already announced, and 5G allow some people will be working on the code, some will be working on the radios, some will be working on the applications. So you see various 7-8 verticals have been announced for 5G allowance by CDOT already, and registration also has taken place for that. CDOT will be asking for the actual set of the proposals from those who have registered, because right now you see it is a just asking the players who are interested in that particular activity. So I think about 15 players, 15 to 16 players, they've already shown their interest. Now, as far as the Center of Innovation is concerned, so they are also a week back, about 16 companies they had already registered for that, and by now the figure would have increased, because earlier not many people were aware of that. Now many more people are aware of that, and they also would have. So the present figure may be definitely about 20 at least,
Yeah,
if
and
not
some of the
higher.
funding support that you have, right? See the
Yeah.
cost grid, or for that matter, neural network, and I've seen many such players basically. It is
Yes.
so quick. I had seen in other departments it takes time to get a funding support to the startup, right? Your
Yeah.
process so DOT process so quick and so early basically. So because of that, I pushed some of the HDN provider, technology network security providers, to take on 5G use cases, and that's why we could see cost grid implementing that railway use case at that demonstration basically. So this is definitely one of the important factor in overall. And my same question to Surya ji is, this entire ecosystem, the government proactive approach, and the kind of support it provides, and ecosystem player like a Wise as well. So how do you see that get really adding to the effort and capability that you basically build in the area? You are probably in mute, Suryaji. I think you are on mute. We're not able to hear you.
His
Okay.
message is there, sir. Can I be unmuted?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. So just to extend Bhatnagarji's information, so there is a list with CDOT we are going through. Sir, today itself it was our slot to go through with CDOT, and we are exploring all how we can give a concrete and 5G based solution to a few use cases. So we have already come up with 2 customers for which Sientra and CDOT with our IoT consortium. So with consortium only it is possible, sir, and we are doing that. IoT vendor is coming 2 or 3 together with us, and our platform CDOT SEM2M, and we are trying to put up something by 15th August, sir. And beyond 15th August, we will take some more time to give a complete network to our end customer as a demo. So we are taking some power grid requirements or some Jal Shakti requirements as the use case. And we will try to present that by 15th August, we are trying. So I see, sir, independently, there are a lot of IoT companies they are trying to give, but at the same time, I feel that from the government agency point of view, a good, robust, secure system would be good. Not only secure, interoperable, multi-vendor, this kind of system will be good. It's not about somebody is struggling or something, but I am saying the overall good.
Yeah, and I understand what you're saying. So, for example, as an ASCOM, we are running these different centers for IoT startups basically. So we need to take this message 5G for IoT, and I think those startups can look at the capability you build basically. So from security side, I look at from the security side, so we can also look at this one. So this needs more awareness, more outreach of this activity and work that you have been doing basically, so that at the end of the day, if IoT startup picks it up basically, because they are working on very different use cases basically, so this will be more adopted in that sense basically.
Yeah, and there are like certain upgrades from 4G, like in 5G, right from the IoT device where the SIM card is there, the ID, initial identity is not sent as original. It is always concealed in 5G, unlike 4G and others. So 5G has identified a lot of loopholes in the previous. So straight away also good to go for 5G rather than 4G. Anyway, this network will go parallel to 4G. And at the core, 5G and 4G can be connected if needed. If needed, but we can run parallel.
Yeah. So I think because I have to be mindful on the time. So as a concluding discussion basically, so we largely come from IoT ecosystem startup. I'm also working on cybersecurity. Plus, you had been working so, and DOT is bringing us all together basically. So DOT is also working with us on some of the areas that we are looking in the security side basically. So
Yeah.
how do you see from now to coming 2-3 years of time basically? So from both of you briefly, as a concluding remark, in the connectivity side and in the 5G network side and overall next generation communication side, can you briefly conclude the discussion about the thing that you would see in the coming 2-3 years of time? I'll start with Suryaji and then end with Bhatnagarji.
Sure, sir. Sir, what I see on the mobile side, I am not so much, and I cannot compete there. Already players are there, right players are there. On the IoT side, I see how I see it is there will be kind of IoTs, very small IoTs are not even operating system based. They are like small controller based. They may not be able to do full 5G and the sockets and everything. So that will be there, but majority will be there Internet of Things, IoT based. So there I see that everybody should come to this standardization, so that these IoTs can be sold off the shelf. I can buy it from any shop, any shelf, and as long as it is M2M and 5G or just M2M, it can be connected. So I am seeing not only 3, sir, down the road, all the IoTs should be available off the shelf, just like this is this device and connectable to any network. This device connectable to any network, and the main standard is 5G, 6G, 7G. As it comes, terrestrial connectivity based, any Wi-Fi connectivity based, satellite connectivity based, any based, but standard will go along with 5G, 6G, 7G, and that way good identification, security, data rate, everything can be more standardized, like it is standardized in wireless mobile network today. Just like my wireless mobile network today, any phone works anywhere. Any IoT should be able to work anywhere for anyone at any time.
Yeah, and that's a really great vision, and I think your capability plus now this ecosystem evaluation can really bring us to that level. Thank you for the last concluding comment. So, Bhatnagarji, with your comment, we can conclude the discussion.
Yeah.
It's definitely interesting discussion. We are doing this. Yeah.
Actually, what Mr. Surya has stated is truly is very much true. With the type of the initiatives which are now coming forward from the government of India, TCOE and CDOT, all three initiatives, you see, they are going to ensure that whatever small development any company in the country, they have done it, whether it is in the area of IoT, M2M, or it is related to 5G and 6G, etc. So all that is going to be coordinated in such a way that interoperability is never an issue. And you see, we are able to take advantage of whatever developments have taken place from one organization, because we as an industry association also we'll try to be supportive of all, so that you see the combined strength of the industry, so we can take advantage of based on the combined strength of the industry. Sometimes as an individual we may not be that strong, but we as an industry, and we are trying to work with the same target, we can achieve much better with the support coming in from the government of India, CDOT, TCOE, etc. And even the funding support also coming in. The government has already announced a few schemes in the current year's budget. It included, one was the design-led incentive scheme, production-linked incentive scheme. So production-linked incentive scheme was announced earlier also, but there was a cap on R&D component at 15%. Manpower expenses, etc., were not allowed. But for the design-led incentives, you see, R&D component becomes very important. So over a period of, I think, maybe within next 10 days, the file has already reached the minister, and within next 10 days, possibly the details of the design-led incentive schemes that may be coming out. Another thing is, in the budget announcement, there was a mention of 5% of the USO fund being tapped for the R&D in rural areas. So that is going to be another area, because that this will be a sizable component, 5% of the USO fund. It will translate to almost every year about 4,000 to 5,000 crore of rupees being available for R&D each year, not just for 1 year. So this again is going to be a sort of a, because this type of facilities were not available to the industry. Whatever they have already achieved up to now is without the support of this type of incentive being available. Now this scheme also you can expect being announced, the full details. It is a Bhaskar Ramamurthy led committee is there, which is having participation of 5-6 members from the industry as well. 5 of them happen to be voice members also. So you see, by June we should be having that report also getting finalized, and in the quarter starting from July onwards, July to September, we may be seeing the actual disbursement also taking place. From TCOE also, they had invited proposals till 24th of May. The proposals have already been received. The evaluation process has already started. Based on that also, the funding may start taking place in the month of June itself. So you see, what we find is the government is supportive, the industry is trying to work hard, trying to channelize all the resources in the positive direction, and interoperability and those type of issues also being taken care of. Hand-holding support coming from, for example, for CDOT through their Center of Innovation. So these are some of the issues, some of the positive steps which has taken place, which are going to be supportive for us.
Yeah.
So with that,
yeah.
I hope that the current year 2022-23, that could be a game-changing year for the industry as compared to the previous financial year.
Certainly had seen government stepping up its effort in last year, but now this year seems more promising, and the way things are getting into shape and the proactive approach the government saying, and more importantly the response that entrepreneurs like Surya and other companies are responding and kind of support the industry body like Voice is providing to this one. And I think we would certainly have many more conversation like this in coming future. Thank you both, Bhatnagarji and Suryaji, to be with us basically, and we would continue this dialogue with you from NASSCOM perspective, and more importantly from DSA perspective, from the security privacy perspective as well. And we like to work and closely engage with you as an ecosystem player and as a entrepreneur or innovator in this area, Suryaji, with you as well. Thank you for joining us today, helping our community to understand this.
Mr. Vinayak, last word from my side. I will request Data Security Council of India to share my email ID and the contact details with your members, because some of your members definitely may find it interesting if they can join hands with us also. Maybe they can be getting the opportunities, new set of opportunities from our side as well, in addition to what we are already getting from Data Security Council of India.
Yeah, and we will work towards that, sir. I will come to you, discuss on a plan how can we work together actually. Thank you. Thank you, Suryaji. Thank you, Bhatnagarji. Thank you for joining us today. Thank you.
Bye, sir. Hello.